You're all there, right? Harvey, Brian, and
Yes, I'm here.
wait. Harvey, Brian, and the other one. And yeah, Sam, are you there? Sam?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Hi everyone, I'm Michal. I will be your chair for this round. And welcome to the open finals of this year's Taiwan Schools Debate Challenge. On proposition, we have team we vented because we were lazy. On opposition, we have team move. So again, hi, I'm Michal. I'll be your chair for this round, for this finals. I would highly prefer that you address us as a panel. I invite my co-panelists to introduce themselves in the manner that is stated in the tab.
I'm Sam. I do just the initial pronouns. Congratulations on making it to the finals and Hi, I'm Brian from Chulalongkorn. I'm wishing you all the best for this grand finals. Hi everyone, I'm Barbie. Congratulations for making it part to the grand finals. All the best.
Hi, I'm Kimberly. Congratulations to making the finals and good luck.
Okay, great. As always, we highly encourage debaters to raise and accept PIs to make the debate more engaging. So let's start. Debating the motion, this House supports the rise of AI doomerism. We invite the first speaker from the proposition side to start the debate, please. Here. You just first audio check. The audio check if you're audible.
Oh, okay.
No, just do audio check. Speak normally. If you just check if they can hear you.
Actually, yeah.
No. Ask them.
Ask
Do
if
an audio
you're
check if you're audible.
Are you guys able to hear me? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, I.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Turn my speech in 3, 2, 1. Our understanding of AI has come a long way. We used to think that the rise of AI would be something like Ultron. We used to think that it'd be a robot that would despise humanity because of our faults. But we say that modern AI doomerism is something that's very different from that. And we need this new form of AI doomerism in order to counteract our over-enthusiastic feelings of AI. Because AI's impacts are very nuanced and it's hard for us to predict what these impacts are. Therefore, it is important that we take a step back and understand what we're actually doing and what the implications of our actions truly are. So what does modern AI doomerism look like? It isn't like a fear of AI taking over or things like that. It is about the fear of AI becoming so powerful that it dictates our lives and takes away our sense of self and takes away our sense of purpose. We say that is truly what losing humanity means in this debate, and we say that ultimately this is what people believe that AI will truly be. It is because people are starting to see that it is becoming increasingly unlikely that there's going to be an AI uprising because of the new inventions of things like ChatGPT and all that. So which allows us to understand what AI does better, and therefore that is why in our world we defend a world that fears losing our own humanity to AI. Additionally, why is it so important now that we care about AI doomerism? It's because AI is at a turning point in its history. Recently, ChatGPT has been constantly creating new models over and over in these few years, and we say that they're operating at way too fast a pace. So, for example, in terms of deepfakes, we used to think that it's something that's just really fun to do and it's going to have no no problems. However, we release this technology, and then immediately there are people impersonating other people and stealing other people's identities on the internet. That is an example of us going into AI too fast and not thinking of the possible doom that AI can cause us. We see that on their side, in the status quo, people look at ChatGPT, people look at AIs like Perplexity, and they're always going to think that it's going to be that easy to integrate AI into our lives. That's the current notion that people have, because people feel like, oh, ChatGPT is able to do my homework, it's able to replace my like writing homework, and they think that it's going to be okay and it's going to be just as safe for every single other aspect of life. But we see that AI is eventually obviously going to take on larger roles in our life, and that is why it is so important that we are able to take a step back and be more careful as AI takes on larger roles in our society. We cannot let AI develop too fast. Then I'll move on to my first main argument about why we have more and better AI regulations. We say that when you have the rise of AI doomerism, looks like people actively advocating for politicians to spend more time to look at their policies, for companies to slow down and take a look at the implications of their technologies, because investors will probably hear all these people surrounding them going like, oh, I'm afraid of AI. And then what they think is that they don't want the company that they're investing in suffering from all these consequences, and then like people going like, oh, this company is evil, they only care about profit, they don't care about the implications of AI. Therefore, all the people behind this company are going to ensure that the company slows down and actually looks at the implications of their technologies. Additionally, not only this, but we will have more politicians that are focused on AI regulation. What this means is extremely straightforward, right? It means that when more people think that AI can cause doom, it is extremely likely that more politicians that care about these types of regulations will get elected in the long term. Additionally, note that on our side, we're not saying that we're never going to innovate AI ever again. We are simply saying that we need to counterbalance this over enthusiasm for AI, and it's likely going to continue to innovate on our side because CEOs aren't affected by social narratives. They understand their product, therefore they're still going to try to make these products. And we see that ultimately there's still going to be innovation on our side. It's simply going to be far slower, and note that people still do recognize the benefits of AI, and we still do recognize the implication of AI on some parts of our lives. We're just saying that you need to wait for far longer before you create these new technologies. Additionally, we create better AI in general. Why is this necessarily the case? It's because naturally when you have a larger time span in terms of politics and in terms of companies, you're more likely to not only innovate better technology, but you're also able to create better regulations, right? What that means is that you have an AI for example, just like you have more time and your engineers have more time to work on an AI, therefore it's far better on our side. The quality of AI will be better on our side as well. Lastly, what I want to focus on, and my second argument is about the individual use of AI. When individuals are afraid of AI taking over their lives and making their individuality useless, we say that it ultimately means that they monitor their own actions as consumers. What this means is that after they buy an AI, they make sure not to use it too often in order to make it not replace them. That is super important because on our side, obviously we want humanity to be able to retain its own intelligence and to be able to be responsible for our own learning and our own improvements. We say that ultimately we do not want to be too reliant on AI, and only through AI doomerism are you able to ensure that people limit their own usage of AI and make sure that they don't let their whole schedules and their whole lives be planned out by AI. On our side, we make individuals safer, we make companies safer, we make politics safer. So proud to propose.
We would like to thank the first speaker from the government team. We now invite the first speaker from the opposition side to take the stage and start the debate for the opposition side. Here.
Real quick before I speak, can you all hear me okay if I talk like this? Okay. I'll start my speech then. In 3, 2, oh, this is okay. 1 second. 3, 2. AI doomerism is a misleading and harmful narrative that pushes people people into irrational fear and slows the growth of society. Very proud to oppose. A few things I'm going to be doing in my speech. First of all, I'm going to respond to our second argument. I'm going to respond to their arguments. Secondly, I'll talk about a few pieces of key characterization, and I'll move on to arguments. Firstly, responding to their second argument on how AI will be, how people will use AI less. We think that AI is actually a good thing if used a lot, right? Yeah, AI is something that allows people to assist people in learning, allows people to learn even more effectively. This looks like how if AI can teach you math and allow you to understand math, you don't have to spend that much time learning the concept itself. Moreover, you can use that time to apply your mathematical knowledge on something else, right? So we think that AI is actually extremely positive, and disincentivize people using AI is not actually something that's very important. I'll respond to their argument on regulations later on in my argument. So move on to three pieces of characterization then. Firstly, what does AI look like? Yeah, AI is extremely efficient because it doesn't make mistakes later, and it doesn't tire, and it doesn't need a break, right? We think that AI is not like humans in that it doesn't make mistakes, and it's very efficient, right? So we think that AI is very effective at doing things like menial jobs, things like teaching people math. Second, we see that AI is pretty logical and made by humans, right? We think that AI operates based on a basis of logic, which is probably going to be very reasonable. That's one of the second issues of framing. What are the people's current perceptions in society? We refuse the premise that pushes that people are over-enthusiastic and super happy about AI. We said there's two reasons. One, we think that popular movies are already, and media already scare people, right? Because we think that movies like books and all of these ideas that AI is really scary and it's going to take over the world are already counterbalancing these ideas of enthusiasm. No, thank you, because they're already making people think that, oh, AI is a thing that's really bad. AI is something that currently is not amazing, right? We think that this is something that exists, but it's something that's also counterbalanced by the idea that AI can help you and AI can help people, and AI can actually be very helpful to things like learning math, right? And yeah, people are not extremely enthusiastic, but people do not hold AI in an extremely negative light. No, thank you. I'll take you later. Third piece of characterization, and how is this narrative currently spread? Yeah, this narrative is spread through things like social media and other types of media, right? We think that when the majority of people go on TikTok and make sensationalized content on how AI is extremely scary, and that is where the narrative comes from. Before I move on to the first argument, then I'll take your point.
Your stance is extremely arbitrary. You tell us that AI is extremely good, but you move on to say that people don't trust AI in general. Which one is it?
Okay, so what we're telling you is that there's a balance in the status quo. People aren't necessarily extremely trusting of AI, but there's a growing trust that's slowly happening in the status quo because people are slowly understanding that, oh, AI might be helpful, AI can actually work, right? Let's move on to our stance, right? I think that what our world looks like. I think our world is not one that allows AI to run rampant. So obviously we're still going to regulate, right? We're still going to regulate in cases where there are extreme risks. We're not going to take a risk where AI could do something extremely harmful and like maybe ruin our entire medical system, right? We're still going to have these regulations. But moving on to our first argument, then, on stifling AI innovation through harmful regulations. This argument is very simple. There's two layers on why AI doomerism destroys innovation. Firstly, the government in and of itself is likely to over-regulate in fear because they're scared of the consequences like public care crisis. But second layer, the people are extremely likely to stand against AI, right? The general public is easily swayed and is inherently irrational. So when something as sensationalized as AI doomerism is introduced and propagated and exaggerated on things like social media, right? People are going to be extremely scared of AI. They're going to be extremely scared of this narrative. And notice how their narrative on how AI is going to replace humanity is not any less extreme than that original narrative that AI is going to destroy humanity, because it's still an extreme concept, right? The fact that AI is going to make you lose out on your humanity is still something really bad. So this is important because the public is very powerful, right? Because the public in democracies are able to vote, which means that politicians, because they want to appeal to the people, they're probably going to regulate AI overtly, and none of them are actually going to say that, oh, AI, we're going to support AI because people are extremely scared of AI. No, thank you. And politicians ultimately want office, so they're unlikely to do this, right? Why is this exclusive? We think that on our side, our regulations are logical, and on side of our proposition, these regulations are filled by fear, so they're going to do things like overly stifle, things like maybe banning large language models altogether. This is extremely important because AI is essential to solving many of the world's problems, right? It looks like how AI in healthcare can statistically analyze analyze and diagnose diseases, can do things like and replace doctors in that they can't tire and they're very logical, they can diagnose disease better, right? Proposition loses all of these things the moment this narrative exists. So we go on to the second argument then, on giving up on important issues like climate change. Important changes like climate change don't get pushed for. Why? Because that people are inherently lazy and they want an excuse out of doing difficult work like climate change because people have so much on their lives right now that they want to focus on themselves immediately. So the moment that the idea of AI doomerism is spread, people now have an excuse to not solve societal issues like climate change because they have the idea that, oh, AI is going to ruin things anyway, and so I might as well not care about the climate because the climate change is something that's very far away. How do you implement this then? The reason why the general public is important is because it requires the general public to solve climate change and to solve these issues, right? Because you still need critical mass, you still need these people pushing for solvency. So because we prove that important issues like climate change are undermined, and we also stifle AI innovation through regulations, very proud to oppose.
We would like to thank the first speaker from the opposition team for their speech. Let's now call on the second speaker from the government side. Hear, hear.
I'm just checking I'm audible. My speech would start 3, 2, 1. Judge, AI constitutes a massive threat to humanity in the status quo. This is extremely harmful because I don't hear a single sentence from LO to deal with as to how this oftentimes they're able to solve this issue in the status quo. 2 things I'm going to do then in the speech. The first on a few pieces of clarification, and the second on answering the 3 fundamental questions in this debate. What are the 3 questions? The first is why this belief doesn't necessarily bring as much harm as they want to claim it as. The second is why this belief brings massive benefits in the status quo. And the third is asking why AI doomerism benefits outweigh the harms. But first, a few pieces of clarification under their side of the house. The first thing is that there is no fiat for opposition side to ensure the success that AI is going to be used properly. The first thing that he said when he came up to the speech is going to say, oh, AI is going to be a very massive benefit for humanity because he can learn math with it. But I think there's no fiat under their side of the house to say that, oh, no, 90% of the economic sector's job is not going to be replaced because they're going to have a fiat too. I don't think they have a fiat to say that this will not happen on their side. They just have to deal with it, and I've not heard a single sentence of engagement from their side of the house. The second is that I think the status quo, the urgency of the issue is that there's an exponential growth that is already going out of hand in the status quo. Then each second you procrastinate is each second in which you're less likely able to stop this growth that is growing uncontrollable and unstoppable. This is extremely important because our side stance is never to say we're going to ban the entirety of AI. Our side stance is to say we need to find a balance between innovating AI and actually regulating AI to a certain extent so that it doesn't damage the entirety of humanity in the status quo. I think the third clarification is to say that on the reality level, whether AI doomerism itself is a believable belief or not, I think it's factually reasonable for us to infer that AI does actually have some level of threat to the entirety of humanity. For instance, it can actually replace 90% of the entire economic sector's job just because it is so powerful, like opposition side wants to claim it be. But now moving on to the first question then, as to why I want to mitigate their arguments as to why there's little to no harm. The first thing they say is AI is beneficial for learning math, or to do basic functions or doing the basic jobs. I have a few couple responses to this. The first is AI innovation is still likely going to exist on our side to a certain extent, and governments are not incentivized to completely stifle the innovation under AI. This is true for 2 reasons. One is that AI CEOs are likely still able to have their own capacities to develop AI under our side of the house. They do have the necessary incentives and capacity to do so. The second thing is that governments are probably not stupid enough to say, we're going to ban the entirety of AI. They're probably going to regulate it to a certain extent, and they're probably going to have experts to check it. This means that basic functions like learning math on ChatGPT is likely going to be accessible under either side of the house. It is up to opposition side then to prove to me as to why the additional function of AI is likely going to be very beneficial. I think they cannot claim the impact on their first argument. But what exactly is their second argument then? Their second argument, I'll take you later, is on the issues of climate change and how you're likely able to solve it. I want to challenge this with a few things. The first is that while humanity's technology is oftentimes it's also on the rise, they have to explain as to why the additional benefit by AI is likely going to be the revolutionizing piece. But I think second is that climate change itself is already an extremely serious issue in the status quo that's extremely hard to solve. It is based on the fact that because we need to use fossil fuels every single time we drive a car and make our economy function, for example, you're unlikely going to have AI to suddenly give you the solution. I think it is unlikely for them to say, oh, we can guarantee the success of AI solving the entirety of the world's problems anyways. But no, I want to move on to the second question then, ask you why AI brings the AI doomerism brings massive benefits. I'll take you later after this question. But I think the first thing is I want to tell you what are the two threats that AI can bring you. The first is the predictable consequences. For example, like they can revolutionize the entire economic sector by replacing these jobs. The second is the unpredictable consequences. This is extremely scary and extremely intimidating because even proposition and opposition side cannot predict what these consequences are going to be. The implication of this then is that you don't know how to deal with this problem, you don't know actually how to deal with these consequences because we don't know what these consequences are because this is the first time humanity has ever played with AI with such dangerous levels. What are the benefits on our side of the house then? Because the moment you actually have AI doomerism is the moment in which you strengthen regulations on AI, you found a counterbalance against the overgrowing AI under their side of the house, we actually solved this issue. I think the responses they gave is, oh, no, they're still going to regulate, right? But I think this is extremely contradictory under their side of the house. Because if they were to regulate, then this means that you automatically contradict the argument that you can solve climate change, because the moment you regulate, that also means that AI is less likely going to be good under their side of the house. But second, I think the most important thing to note in this argument is that the regulations on our side is always going to be more efficient than their side of the house, because we do have beyond to say that we have AI doomerism under our side. But let's say that there's actually very serious issues under their side of the house, and like climate change, for example, and people learning math. But let's say, I'm going to weigh this on two things. The first is urgency. Which one is actually more urgent? Is it the entirety of humanity actually facing the economic revolutionized issues, like their jobs being replaced, or even more scary, unpredictable consequences? Or is it climate change that is likely going to eliminate humanity in 200 years? I think it's likely to say that the more urgent issue to actually solve in this debate is the massive urgent issue that AI poses us. The second is I want to weigh on vulnerable actor. Which one is the most vulnerable actor in this debate? I think it is humanity in this debate. But I think that humanity is the one that's being threatened massively by AI, and the only way to actually solve this is to have the entire critical mass and public say, I think AI is going out of hand, we need to add more regulations to it. I think this is the only way you can actually stop the massive threat that AI poses, whether it's predictable or unpredictable. So proud to propose the motion. Thank you.
We'd like to thank the second speaker from the government. Being further speech, let's call on the second speaker from the opposition side. Here.
First, I would like to start off with the idea that our side brought up. All right, so in this, we mentioned how regulations will be placed and how, oh wait, can you hear me? Okay, how regulations will be placed when an AI dominates or an AI rises, right? For example, what happened a couple of decades ago was that the computer virus was the first, I think it was in Taiwan, there was the first computer virus that hit and some hacker did it, right? Back then, the person wasn't arrested because there were no laws upon it, but after that one incident, the person was, and there were laws established to prevent this from happening in the future. And we also believe that AI and how your side claims that it's going to dominate over the world and how it's going to control humanity and to, ruin humanity or cause crazy stuff to happen does not exist, because it will not happen within a night. Like, AI wouldn't just suddenly bomb the world within one night. It is completely out of this world, and it also doesn't make sense. So in this case, we believe that it is unlikely to happen on your side, and that regulations will be placed and will logically be placed in the current status quo and in this sense. Right. Secondly, is that your side mentioned how you cannot allow AI to develop too fast, and that there will be no significant benefit of that, but it is completely untrue, and it is also what drives the world towards a better place, and I'll explain that further on in my speech. So, lastly, I'd like to state another point is that your side mentioned how there will be no significant impact, but at the same time, states that AI will eventually replace your side gave an example as an economy market or something, and in that case, the impact is there, and you guys state the impact. Well, your side also mentioned how people will be scared that the AI will eventually replace their jobs, but scientifically and data have proven that there are only 30 jobs that have been developed and have been found.
You lie.
No, and only 30% of jobs have been known. So where are the rest of the 70? And having AI do these jobs and having AI do the basic jobs that people can know, we have time and we can spend more time in developing the rest of the 70. So that does not make sense, and I will jump into, last thing is that on your side, you're assuming that laws don't exist. You are creating worlds where laws don't exist, regulations don't exist, governments does not exist. And you do not recognize that the fact that regulations in government are exist in a democratic world, and government will less like, no, well, in a democratic world, right? So, and you're also assuming that people don't have common sense, which is what your case is built on. So I will jump into my arguments. So as I said, AI can develop fast, and AI is efficient and also helpful to humankind by developing fast. Why is that the case? For example, AI can help solve cancer and prevent death because these are genetic problems, and AI, as it progresses, it can identify these problems and eventually help with humans and having a cure to cancer. Secondly is less tests on animals. So this benefits both sides because animal abuse and animal tests are a huge thing right now. It is also affecting our current ecological world, and it is also affecting us as humans, and it is also not a humanely thing to do. Yes, I will take one of your POIs.
What is the end goal of AI on your side?
So, the end goal of AI, like what we stand for is that AI, apparently the AIs are going to dominate. It's not the AI that is going to ruin the world, right? Is the AI, for example, ChatGPT or like period trackers or calendars that can help you with your day-to-day lives, right? So we believe that AI will not, the AIs that is obviously really, crazy and that will eventually ruin the world for you will not exist on our side. And back to my argument, is that we believe in this case having AI to solve, for example, cancer and stuff, cancer and also deaths by changing genetics or even testing using AI can significantly improve the quality of our world and improve the how people treat or how humans treat animals, how badly they are treated, right? And secondly is that people can have more time to focus on self-development rather than being a working level person that works their day-to-day life and work to like a 9-to-5 job, right? So in this case, people can focus on themselves more and find a sense of self-development. Like I also mentioned how there will be more innovation, not just in the AI field, but in general, like in the general field. And yours had mentioned how climate change will not be a focus, or it does not make sense. Well, on our side, we tell you, because of the rise of AI and because of how AI is helping the humans, climate change and the cure for climate change will likely to happen. Humans can spend more time in developing the ways of how the sun is working and how it generates energy. Because how the sun works is basically it generates its own energy without harming the climate. That is the sun, not us. And that will be a really possible a way out for us as humans on this earth and dealing with climate change. So lastly, I would like to weigh on the impact, we have way more impact because we give humans time to fix a problem. We give humans time to fix the problem, and we also help with self-development. And lastly, I'd like to state that all the claims on your side do not establish because of the reasons I mentioned above, and I'm so proud to oppose.
We would like to thank the second speaker from the opposition side for your speech. We now invite the third speaker from the government side. Thank you. You're here.
Am I audible? Thank you. The problem with opposition is that their stance is super wishy-washy from the start. If AI is not trusted, their arguments will not matter at all. If it is trusted, we tell you that there is a need for change. We tell you that they have to take a single stance, and their soft one decks most of their impacts on their side house. I just want to be super charitable here, and we're going to take their impacts that maybe AI can still solve climate change, or magically force people to not do animal abuse or whatnot, like whatever impacts they talk about, what AI can do. I still have 3 problems that I want to address under their side of the house. Firstly, how would people even react to doomerism in the first place? I think that it was really, really unclear under their side of the house, and we try to push across the bench that doomerism is probably going to be something that happens in a far point in the future. It's not going to happen overnight, like what Chelsea told you, right? That means that people will try to prevent you, but the fear is not going to be so immediately that it's going to stop AI from even developing, right? More likely, it's going to be the case that people are going to be more careful about AI, and people are going to slow down and see and implement regulations. I'm going to explain more on that later on. Second problem, Red, what is the burden under their side of the house? We think that the mistrust from the rise of doomerism, they have to prove that there's going to be a mistrust from the rise of doomerism, which would cause everyone to stop using AI, or B, they're going to say that the capacity incentive for people to prove the capacity incentive for people to stop using AI in the first place. Insofar as they never proved this, and it's already like the next speech to the website, I think it's already too late for them. But then I'll still take that maybe there is capacity incentive. What is this debate about right now then? I think that it's a bit confusing coming from their side when they tell us that, oh, AI is extremely good. This debate is literally not about whether AI is good or not. It's also not about whether doomerism will happen or not. It's about how people will actually respond to AI and what the positive or negative benefits of the people's reaction would be, right? Therefore, we tell you that the deadlock on both sides is extremely simple. It's would people not trust AI to the point that they'll completely stop the usage of it, or stop the development to a point in which AI will become almost useless or not developing at all. Now we're on to the 2 clashes I want to address. Firstly, is AI even trusted in the first place? Insofar as we're able to prove this point, we're able to access all their benefits because AI is still going to exist. Secondly, why are regulations important and how we're able to improve AI under our side of the house? Firstly, is AI trusted in the first place? I think that people are mostly not educated to fear AI in the first place, right? For instance, there are a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff that teach you about how to use AI or build AI. The connotation of this is that AI is actually good and something you should incorporate within your daily life. I think this in of itself goes to show that a lot of different actors are already encouraging the usage of AI. Secondly, we tell you that teachers within school and a lot of different IT teachers already teach you about AI and are quite optimistic about it, right? They tell you that are able to utilize the AI you're able to utilize AI for these things, and if you're able to utilize it correctly, it's gonna drastically improve your life. Secondly, we tell you that AI is entrenched in everyone's life right now. Literally, more than 90% of my classmates use ChatGPT every day for their assignments, and literally AI is used for business for profit. And we tell you that businesses are probably unlikely to abandon it right now, right? Given that most businesses still incorporate some sort of AI, and it's extremely profitable. I think given the doomerism is extremely long term, that at a very far point in the future, that is when we tell you that these people are likely going to only mistrust but not completely stop the usage of AI. But then thirdly, we tell you that companies who still want to develop the AI, especially the CEOs that literally their jobs are dependent on AI even existing in the first place, right? It's not the case that because some people don't like AI, you just completely abandon this project. I think that more likely you're gonna prove to the public why they're using an extremely transparent AI and their AI is gonna be extremely good. What are the implications of this? We tell you that firstly, more people are unable and incapable of even disattaching themselves from AI in the first place. But secondly, there's already no incentive for businesses or society to abandon AI in the first place. Before I move on to the second class, I'll take the point.
If people think doomerism is going to be so far in the future that's not going to affect them in their current lives, how can you get your impact?
I'm glad you asked that. I think that the reason why is that there's a rise of doomerism, right? This means that it's a steady increase in people's worries about AI. Maybe this does not mean that immediately every single person will start panicking at night, but maybe there are going to be more concerns, more researchers doing they're writing research papers about the possibilities of doomerism, and media coverage becoming increasingly prevalent, right? We tell you that this is extremely good. Why? Because this leads to my second clash about how we actually improve AI under our side of the house. This means that there's going to be more discourse, more research professors doing more research being done on AI, and more things being done on AI, and more discourse, right? This means that people are going to act on fear because there's a subtle fear of AI, people want to do more research on it, and people want to read more about it, right? The second thing is that we tell you that politicians already focus on regulation about AI simply because there's more fear in the public. I think Henry already pretty much talked about this in the first, and it was clearly unaddressed by opposition side. Why then are regulations important in the first place? Henry and Michael already pushed across the bench that AI is being rushed right now. What does this look like? It means that there's no check and balances, and the demand is extremely high for these AI to be developed extremely quickly. This looks like a ChatGPT being there being a ChatGPT for it within I don't know, half a year, or maybe deepfakes being extremely prevalent, right? We tell you that engineering process that utilize data and is very, very dangerous because if the AI interprets data wrong or misinterprets the data, we tell you that it's caused a lot of harm that is irreversible under their side of house. We think that AI is already too fast, so under our side of house, with regulations, we're able to stop that and at least slow down. Even if you don't buy that, we tell you that slowing down is much better than having the risk of maybe AI misinterpreting things and possibly leading to a lot of different harms within society that we already talked about. For all these reasons, really, really proud to propose.
We then invite the third speaker from the proposition side. For their speech, we now invite the third speaker from the opposition side. So take the stage, please. Here.
Hi, am I audible?
That's awful.
This is kind of slippery.
Put it down. Shall we make a
Okay, my speech starts in 3, 2, 1. Government side has a really uncharitable characterization of AI from the very start. They say that AI has those undetermined, unpredictable harms that will likely happen. That 90% of econ jobs will be taken over. Firstly, the efficiency of AI, that they're able to take over 90% of econ jobs is already a very big benefit on our side. The ability to do things much more efficiently, the kind of things that can be done by computer, the kind of mathematical calculations that we are able to have on our side, the increased manufacturing, the increased ability to help humanity, as Chelsea has already told you. What you may not know is that there are already a lot of research going on to combat things like cancer, to combat things like death. And those kind of things are already under play. AI will have a huge help in the development of such technologies. And it is possible, because we have AI, we are able to I'll take you later. We're able to develop further, than we can ever imagine. And that is what they haven't dealt with on their case. what they've actually told you is something very fluffy. Oh, AI is going to take over our humanity. AI is going to plan our lives out for us. Yes, maybe AI is going to plan your life out of us in ways such as having an AI calendar, having AI doing menial jobs, such as taking out your trash, such as AI making your food. The thing is, the types of things that AI are able to do are the ones that are able to decrease the amount of work that you do in the status quo, and will likely increase the amount of time you are able to do to develop your own humanity and your own understanding of your personal self. Yes.
Okay, you clearly did not listen to my whip speech. This debate is not about whether or not AI is good, or whether doomerism will happen. It's how people react. Please engage.
How people react will directly have an effect on how AI is developed in the first place. So now I'm going to talk about how AI is actually perceived, because the whip speaker is practically unclear. They give us two main clashes. So firstly, is AI to be trusted? And people trust AI because there are a lot of YouTube videos. Kind of YouTube videos made for AI are those that are the types of people who look at these YouTube videos, who will have additional research into these kinds of AI, are the ones that care on both sides and is parallel on both sides, meaning that these are the minority of people. The majority of people will have unproportional amount of fear due to AI doomerism, which will cause AI stagnation. That will happen in things such as regulations, entirely banning large language models such as ChatGPT. Yes.
So, just to be clear, you are fine with 90% of the people jobless and homeless on your side to cure the 0.01% of people who have cancer. Is that correct?
I'm okay with people, econ people not having jobs, because the very idea that hunter-gatherers have been taken over by farming. Are you trying to say that these types of simple jobs are you regretting the evolution of humanity as a whole? The types of jobs that were taken over by AI are those mathematical, are those that aren't intelligent enough for humanity to beat AI on, which is clearly, I can't understand how you cannot support these kinds of developments in humanity because of the positive outcomes that we are able to have. Yes.
You say that AI will only be used for menial jobs. That is actually an impact of AI doomerism, because people are afraid to use these technologies in too many places. AI enthusiasm actually makes AI used in too many places, not just menial jobs.
Okay, the definition of menial jobs here are the types that, people in the status quo spend a lot of time making money for their retirement. They make a lot of money to support their family. If AI can do all these jobs for you, then you have much more time and ability to develop further and explore your own humanity. That's what I'm trying to get at. And second, no, last POI already. So, I don't know, yeah. Okay, second is you're able to improve AI because you have much more research and much more discourse. The amount of fear that AI doomerism will likely project are the ones that directly oppose more discourse, more research into AI. Because any implication that we're going to develop AI further, we're going to invest more into AI, is already met with a lot of backlash in the public. The government does not have the incentive to continue AI. The government does not have the incentive to develop AI because most of their power is in the votes of the citizens, because it's a democracy. They are fine right now, and they won't try to develop AI because they fear that they will lose their power in the current government. We are unclear as to why the government will still be able to develop further with this intense fear of AI doomerism. For you to have your impacts, you need to have intense fear of AI in order for a lot of negative regulations, such as banning, such as the intense and over stagnation of AI. What I'm trying to get at is AI is the kinds of regulations that are on AI right now are already enough. Thank you.
We'd like to thank the first speaker from the opposition team for the speech. We now invite the opposition reply to take the stage. Hear, hear.
Okay, so again, just confirming that I'm audible from here.
Yeah, you have to charge it.
I don't think it's turned on.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Okay. I'll start my speech then in 3, 2. Proposition's case is pretty contradictory. One of their main responses to our argument on integration was that there's no impact because ChatGPT can teach math on both sides. At the same time, one of their main positive contributions is that AI is so powerful that they will take over the economic sector. We see that as against side one, right? Because if AI doesn't actually have an impact, then they are probably not going to be able to take over the economic sector, right? What we've told you is that AI is powerful and is good in used in good ways, and we say that AI can be regulated logically on our side. The second strategic mistake that they made that undercuts their case is that they're very wishy-washy on how severe this narrative actually looks like, right? They tell you that, oh, people are going to fear AI to the point that they're going to ask the government to regulate AI. They're going to ask the government to they're going to take their time to ask the government to stop AI and to reconsider how AI is going. They also say that, oh, guys, people aren't going to be that scared because they're actually going to be because AI doomerism is going to happen a long time away. If that is the case, and AI doomerism is not going to happen until far in the future, like they tell you, then that means there's no actual impact on their side because people aren't fearful. Like I told you, people on their side of the house are just going to be like, oh, AI doomerism probably not that good, but they don't really care because it's not going to happen in their lifetime, right? Let's move on to the few key questions this has made then. Number 1, on whether regulation will work, and number 2, on what negative impacts of AI are, and if they actually manifest. Firstly, on whether regulation will work. The crucial part of our argument that Prop never really truly engaged with was that we'll still regulate logically on our side, right? And regulations on their side are created out of fear and therefore are going to be irrational and over-regulated, right? We've told you how the public, if it is true that they're going to fear AI to the point that they're going to ask the government to stop regulating AI, we've told you how politicians are unlikely to push for AI, any positive contributions of AI, because these politicians still want to be elected, right? So they don't want to be seen as people who are advancing AI, right? So this means that AI is probably not going to be able to quickly reach all the impacts that we told you. This is very important, right? Because we told you about how AI can help the healthcare system, how AI can because it's efficient and statistically logical, it can diagnose diseases, not just cancer, but just all of these diseases that we told you about. These impacts are very important because it affects all of the people who are going to the doctors who have diseases, who have terminal illnesses, right? We see that the sooner this happens, the better this is. Secondly, what are the negative impacts of AI and do they manifest? Their basic main impact was that, people in the economy sector will lose their jobs. What Chelsea and Benjamin told you was that, yes, they might lose their job, but we're fine with that because other jobs will be created. So we're fine with them not having economy jobs, but they can have other jobs, maybe like regulating AI or doing other things that aren't as simple as this. So this means that the negative harms that Paul continually talks about don't manifest. So the positive contribution on how we gain on AI, crucially advancing society, still stands. Very proud to oppose.
Let me thank the opposition reply for their speech. Let's not call them government reply. Here.
what exactly does AI doomerism do under our side of the house? It means a few things. First is that people are more wary of using this AI tool as a tool to apply in their lives. The second is it means that there are more regulations to limit the entirety of AI domination in the status quo. I think this is very important because the winner of this debate is which side is able to contribute to humanity the best. Which side is it the one that contributes the most? So let's take a look at their contributions to humanity first. The first thing is learning math. I think this one is already dropped by their second and third speech, so I don't think I need to deal with it, but just to engage with that. I think the problem then is under either side of the house, AI already exists under either side of the house anyways to perform the basic functions. I think the second thing they say is that AI is necessary for facilitating things like finding the solution to climate change, for example. I think we already responded to this in two ways. One is that AI innovation is likely still going to have the same extent under our side of the house because regulations doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to completely ban AI. It means that we're going to regulate and find the balance so that AI is not going to be used to end humanity. But I think the second thing is we're going to mitigate this by saying human technology, for example, like computer simulation models, is still a very massive contribution to this entire issue. It's unlikely that AI is going to be the only one that's contributing to this issue. So sure, I'm going to concede that maybe they have some benefits under their side of the house. But what exactly are the threats of AI doomerism? What exactly are the threats of AI that we need AI doomerism to exist in order to stop this? I think we have a few things to note here. The first is that there's massive consequences regarding, for example, people losing their jobs. Note they are fine with people losing their jobs and they're fine with people who are homeless for a few reasons. They say, one, that these homeless people now are able to find their passion, find whatever they want with their own time. I think it doesn't really make sense under their side because I think the urgency is not really finding who you are with your own time. I think the urgency is finding a job so that you wouldn't be homeless. I think the second thing that they say is that, no, it's actually not 90%, it's 30%. But I want to find this extremely ironic because even if it's just 30%, I think the moment in which 30% of the entire world's population is going to lose their job, I think it immediately is an economic revolution because you now deprive them of a job that you make 30% of the entire world's population homeless. Well, no, I think also the very massive consequence they have never dealt with is the fact that all of these consequences, or outside of these consequences, there are also unpredictable consequences that also happen. And this is extremely bad because you're unable to deal with it because it's the first time you know it. So let me weigh it very simple for you. Which one is actually the more urgent issue to deal with? Is it the people that are actually going to be homeless and now you actually have more free time to find who you are, but now you're going to be homeless and actually don't have food to eat to survive? Or is it the climate change issue that's actually going to be a legitimate issue in, for example, 100 years or 200 years? I think this is quite easy to weigh. It's quite easy to weigh that our side solves the more urgent issue under our side of the house. Our side protects the most vulnerable actors of humanity in this debate. I think AI is institutionally extremely threatening, and I think the most efficient way possible is to have AI doomerism in all public. I think this is very proudly proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, debaters. You know, virtually, you may not cross the house. Sorry, you may not cross the house. Yeah.
It's so used to judging online tournaments. Keep on saying
Right. Let's go outside.
wait, I'm just gonna join. Let me do it.
Yeah, I think we're done. Give me a few seconds. I'm just gonna.